an awesome performance. Hello and welcome to Talk Vietnam. You've just seen Jeremy Donovan playing the didgeridoo, which is a wind instrument made by the indigenous Australians of Northern Australia nearly 10,000 years ago. Now, Jeremy is known the world over as one of Australia's finest Aboriginal artists, and he's happened to be in Hanoi this time as part of a performance for Australia's gift to Hanoi on its 1000th birthday. It's our honor to have him here in our studio today, so please join me in welcoming him. Thank you very much, Jeremy, for coming onto the show to our studio today. I'm a bit curious because we just saw a performance of you. What are the meanings of the stripes on your body?
For us, when we are performing in our traditional ceremony, we paint our body with ochre, which is a natural clay. Mm-hmm. And what happens is, before we have ceremony, we go down to the creek, to the river, where we know the ochre is, where we know the clay is, and we sing songs to the earth, to the mother, about, can we take some of your blood? And so then we dive down underneath the water and we dig the clay up, and then we carry it out. And so then, no matter where we are in the world, we are always carrying what is perceived to be the blood of the mother. And so when we put it onto our skin, we then ask the mother, we are now going to put your blood all over our body. And so when we're in ceremony, can you pull us into your womb and to hold us so we can have the comfort of the healing from the mother, from the earth, because she is our greatest reason for all of our ceremonial practice. Everything we do is about reminding the mother how much we admire her for what she has given us in this life. And so the spots that were all over my body represent the rain that falls on our body in the rainforest in far northern Queensland.
Using the clay as the painting on your body, it's also another symbol of you and Mother Earth being one during the ceremony.
Definitely.
Right, so we saw that you were playing the didgeridoo,
yeah,
as we said from the beginning. Can you tell us a little bit about the cultural background of this instrument?
The didgeridoo is perceived or known around the world as one of the world's oldest living wind instruments. For the northern Aboriginal people of Australia, it's been played for an estimated 10,000 years, give or take 2,000 here or there. And it's an instrument that, where my family from, is not known as the didgeridoo. Didgeridoo, in fact, was a word that was introduced with the European settlement. In my language, this instrument is known as the yigi yigi. Mm-hmm. And yigi yigi translates to blow the breath of the mother. So it's about bringing the life, the breath of the mother, so we can hear her speak to us when we're in ceremony. And it was used in ceremony for leading the dancers, communicating to the dancers through ceremony, and as well as the traditional healing, the mapa nyuporo, which is the background that I come from in using it for the medicine. For us, the didgeridoo was always spoken about. It was like a wooden book. Mm-hmm. It was just a device for us to tell a story.
Right.
Yeah.
Now we know, as part of your program this time in Hanoi, you've played didgeridoo with a Vietnamese bamboo flute player. Do you see any kind of differences or similarities between these two instruments?
Yes, so certainly I was very fortunate to meet a lovely man who was, a flute expert, of the Vietnamese flutes and many of the Vietnamese instruments. In playing the didgeridoo with him, I was also given the opportunity to play our native flutes with him. And in the native flutes that we have, there were striking similarities in the sounds, that we were mimicking stories of the land and mimicking the sounds of the natural world and wildlife. And the way we played the flute is, to play with your heart. And so when he was playing this instrument, the minority flute, and playing from his heart, and I was playing with my heart, it was definitely amazing similarities in that.
Right, so I know you have the flute here with you. Can you show us a little bit about how it's similar to the didgeridoo?
Definitely.
much. Now we also actually have a clip of Jeremy playing with the Vietnamese bamboo flute players. So let's take a look at that.
Cảm giác thì là nó rất là lạ, tại vì là bình thường thì khi mà cái âm nhạc, tất cả các nhạc cụ thì hầu như đều có các nốt do re mi fa sol la si do, thế nhưng mà với cái didgeridoo này thì là nó không có những cái như thế, mà nó tạo ra một cái âm thanh không phải là nhịp điệu bài hát, nhưng mà nó lại tạo ra cái cảm giác rất là hoang dã, giống như kiểu âm thanh của rừng rồi của chim muông rồi thì con vật ở trong rừng nhá.
Đây cũng là lần đầu tiên em được tiếp cận với cái âm nhạc là didgeridoo, thì em thấy là rất là lạ so với những người Việt Nam. Khi cái âm nhạc của didgeridoo nổi lên thì gần như là em thấy nó rất là hào hứng, mà em đặc biệt ấn tượng nhất với là cách lấy hơi của người Australia. Người ta vừa có thể giữ được hơi mà người ta vừa có thể tạo ra cái âm thanh bằng chính cái hơi mà họ giữ trong miệng đấy ạ.
Anh ấy có cái kỹ thuật chơi là anh ấy truyền hơi rất là giỏi, mà trong cái nghiệp chơi sáo cũng như là cái hệ hơi thì cũng cần phải phát huy cái việc mà tự tiếp hơi. Tất nhiên ở Việt Nam có nhiều người, cũng có một số người cũng có thể làm được cái việc tiếp hơi, truyền hơi một cách coi như là cái người nghe không biết là lấy hơi vào lúc nào.
There's no need to be able to speak each other's language, because once you play this music, the language is already there in the music, and so I think it was great for people to see that you don't even need music to be written, that we can sit down and if we are playing the song from our heart, then the song will dance together.
So you mentioned playing the didgeridoo as a way to connect with Mother Earth, as a way to kind of voice her voice. So what kind of stories can you tell through your playing didgeridoo?
For us, we can tell stories of sorrow, stories of sadness. We can tell stories of great celebration. We can tell stories about the seasons changing. We have songs about the way the moon moves in the sky through the night. We have many stories about the stars. We then have all the animal sounds. We then have sounds for communicating with our family. So there are so many different varieties of sounds that we can play depending on what the ceremony, what the ritual was actually about. Or we can simply just play a beat, like with modern music, and just follow a tempo that, with modern music has.
I know you've performed the world over with your didgeridoo. Can you kind of recall some of your landmark performances?
There's been so many, and it's not the big ones that actually stick, in my mind. It's, I've been so fortunate that, I've had the chance to perform with some of the biggest musicians in the world. I've performed with System of a Down, I've performed with Neil Diamond, I've performed with George Thorogood, and many of those over in the United States. But to me, it's, I've been fortunate enough to go to like very small indigenous communities in the Americas, in Canada, in Sweden, where I'm playing with people that are indigenous to their land, and sitting around with them and watching them hear the sound of the didgeridoo and seeing the expression on their face where you can see that the sound is truly touching their heart. They're the ones that, stick with me the most. Offhand, there are so many to recall, but probably one of the most beautiful ones was when I first went to a Navajo American Indian reservation, and I played the didgeridoo, and the people there had never heard this sound before. And there was a very beautiful old lady. She must have been in her 90s, and she walked out and she had tears running down her face, and she said the sound that she heard was sounds that touched her heart, that made her heart cry. And for me, this was incredible. I mean, she's the lady that gave me the necklace that I wear today, and I take this everywhere I go. Yeah.
So, on his Hanoi visit this time, Jeremy had a talk with the teachers and also students of the National University for Arts Education. So we'll take a look at that now.
Right from the first moments he played the didgeridoo, he won the hearts of the audience. He further enchanted the students with his circular breathing, a vital didgeridoo playing technique. Through his performance and speech, Jeremy succeeded in promoting the quintessence of his culture to Vietnamese youngsters.
Và em cảm thấy hôm nay anh Jeremy đã biểu diễn rất là thành công nhạc cụ cổ truyền của mình. Em cảm thấy rất thích thú. Thông qua cái buổi ngày hôm nay thì em được biết thêm những nét bản sắc dân tộc của đất nước Australia. Và nhất là cái nhạc cụ vừa rồi thì đã làm cho em đã hiểu biết thêm một cái nhạc cụ rất là đặc sắc, cũng như những bức vẽ rất là đặc biệt và cũng rất là đẹp.
Em có một cái điều rất là ấn tượng, đó là nhạc cụ này rất là độc đáo về cả cái hình dáng, về cả nói chung là độc đáo về tất cả những gì nó mang tính nghệ thuật và mang tính văn hóa của người thổ dân Úc.
Perhaps the most joyful part of the exchange between Jeremy and the students was when he taught them how to mimic some wildlife. Bouncing like a kangaroo was great fun. Jeremy has so far performed and had similar exchanges with youngsters around the world, from the US, Canada, to the UK, Germany, Switzerland and Italy, among others.
So tell us about your own didgeridoo. Is it a special made one?
Yeah, the didgeridoo that I've been using tonight and the whole time that I'm out here in Hanoi is probably one of the favorites of my collection. I have about 5 performing didgeridoos that I use for performing, and it's just a beautiful instrument that really holds the sound and allows me to play both a mixture of the traditional style and the contemporary style.
We talked about the didgeridoo the whole time, but let's now take a look at it. What is it made of?
The didgeridoo is it's a really basic instrument, given that it was designed 10,000 years ago. The didgeridoo itself is just a young hollow eucalyptus tree that the termites have eaten the core out of. So when we make didgeridoos, we go into the bush, we look for the young sapling trees that the termites have eaten out of, we chop the tree down, we crush the termite nest from the middle, so we're left with a hollow log. Then we take all the bark back, so we're left with just the hard surface wood. And then we apply beeswax to the top, to the mouth. And it's just there to make it softer on our lips when we are playing, because some of our traditional songs could have over 800 individual verses and go for over 4 hours without a pause. So you need to have something soft there on your lips when you're playing.
talked about your Aboriginal origin. Can you tell us a little bit about your family background?
Okay, so I've had a pretty interesting, upbringing, pretty interesting, background. I was born up in northern Queensland, and then at a couple of days old, I was removed from my family, and I was raised in a Polynesian family with foster parents, with a Maori father and a Samoan mother. And so I grew up with a total Pacific Island background as a young person growing up. And it wasn't until I was 16 that I was given the chance to meet my biological parents for the first time. And my biological mother, is an Anglo-Australian lady, a white lady, and my father is an Aboriginal man from far northern Queensland. And it was my father's parents, my grandparents, that really are the ones that at 16 came into my life and started teaching me all about my culture and ultimately teaching me about who I am from the inside out.
So it was kind of a turning point for you when you first kind of gotten into touch with your Aboriginal culture.
Yeah, when I met my grandfather and grandmother for the first time, it really shifted my life, because for the first time in my life, obviously being displaced, I knew who I was. And so it really was a huge turning point in my life.
Were they the ones who taught you how to play the didgeridoo?
Yeah, Granddad was definitely the one he's pretty much the one that's responsible for most of my teachings. He taught me to speak my traditional language, he taught me to sing the traditional songs, he taught me to dance the dances, he taught me the artwork, and he taught me, the didgeridoo.
Would you say that he's someone who has been a really strong influence on your life? Made who you are today?
My grandfather is not probably, but is most definitely the most important person that ever came into my life. Yeah.
How has he changed your life? Has you seen it?
For me, when I met my granddad, I was pretty much down and out in society. I was, really struggling with an identity, struggling with life, trying to understand the concept of why I was put here. And my grandfather, in spending that time out in the land, out in the bush with my grandfather, he really taught me about understanding the land, about understanding that land is so much about who I am. And he taught me about stillness, about sitting in the quietness. He taught me about sitting in your own shadows, not being afraid of your shadows, of your past. And so just all of his wisdom that he had just has had such a major effect on my life. And also is, I know the world that my grandfather grew up in. He grew up in a world where being Aboriginal in Australia was not so easy. And so for me, when I travel the world, I feel blessed that I've been given this chance to be the voice that he was never given the chance to be.
Can you tell us a bit about how long you've been playing the didgeridoo? I know we talked about how your granddaddy has been a big part of that, but did you start playing when you were 16?
No, I started playing didgeridoo when I was about 18 years old. My grandfather never let me play didgeridoo until I could speak the language first, because in order to play traditionally, like I mentioned, you must be able to speak the language. And so, my grandfather taught me to sing all the songs first, and then I was given the chance to learn to play didgeridoo. And I was never really that interested in playing didgeridoo. I much preferred performing in the traditional dance. But fortunately, or unfortunately, however you look at it from which side, I became a good didgeridoo player, and so no one, wanted me to do anything but play didgeridoo. And so I became sort of a leading didgeridoo player for the community, for my people. And so, Yeah, and then it just stuck, and for me, I resurrected my life a lot, you know, with playing the didgeridoo, because it allowed me to express a lot of the pain that I had inside.
Right. How long did it take for you to master it?
I don't think I've mastered it yet. You know, like there's still things that, you know, I listened to the old tapes of my grandfather playing, and while it was so raw and so pure, I'm still in amazement at some of the things that he was doing through that instrument. And I don't believe we ever master anything. I think we're always walking towards perfection, but we were born in this place with imperfections.
So what is the most difficult technique for you when you're playing, you know, the most basic technique you need when you're playing the didgeridoo?
I guess the fundamental basic is that if you cannot circular breathe, you cannot play didgeridoo effectively, because circular breathing is what allows us to play in a continual process without pausing, and it's an ability to breathe through the nose and blow out the mouth at exactly the same time.
Okay.
So air is going out, in, at the same time, so it's going to sound like this, going.
Wow.
So when I'm playing didgeridoo, like without the didgeridoo, this is exactly what I'm doing.
And that's, correct me if I'm wrong, but the air goes through here and then out here?
Yeah, so basically the air goes down in the nose,
through the nose,
and it goes down into this part of the body, and then our diaphragm, our stomach, contracts and pushes the air back up, which forces the air out.
So do you mind showing us more of these techniques, especially with the animal sounds? I know it's very interesting. So do you mind giving us a demo?
No problem. So when we play didgeridoo, we are mimicking the sounds of our native wildlife, the animals. We have rhythms for the land. So I'm just going to go through some of the animal sounds. The first one of our most famous animals, the kangaroo, in its bouncing. Make this sound, it's just our lips vibrating and our tongue just saying dill, 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 dill. The next sound is the dingo, which is one of our native dogs, which initially was brought across from Southeast Asia about, I believe it was about 15,000 years ago, but has become a big part of indigenous culture and also Australia's natural wildlife. This is the dingo howling. This sound is just my voice. Hoo! 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 The next sound, one of our most famous birds or animals in Australia, is our laughing kingfisher, something called the kookaburra. And it's very famous around the world because it's such a small bird, but it has this very extraordinary laugh. And its laugh sounds something like this. On didgeridoo. Many different sounds that we can play, but what I'm going to show you is just how we can put those sounds together to create a story. This story is about the kookaburra laughing at the crocodile that's swimming in the water. Thank you.
Besides playing the didgeridoo, what are some of your other lifetime passions you may call?
I have so many lifetime passions, and I'm always forever finding new lifetime passions as well. For me, my artwork is definitely a lifetime passion, and artwork for me has been in my life far longer than the didgeridoo as well. Artwork was a way that I found as a tool to express myself as a young person when I was down and out, when I was getting into a lot of trouble. Artwork was seemingly the only thing that I ever had the ability to express myself with. I was completely illiterate, so I couldn't read or write, and so, but creating artwork in areas that I probably shouldn't have been creating artwork was something that I had a true love for.
So this artwork that you've been talking about, this is the Aboriginal dot painting,
Yeah,
is
the
it
dot
not?
paintings.
Can you show us a little bit about these artworks?
So the first painting here that I have, it's, you know, it looks like such a simple painting in a sense that it's just a black canvas with thousands of white dots. But to us, this story here is such a sacred story. This story here is all about the stars, all about the Milky Way. It's all about the fact that our ancestors, when our people pass away, that they go to the stars, to be in the stars. So every night when the stars come out, we can walk outside no matter where we are in the world, and we can look up and know that our ancestors are there watching over us. So we never have a feeling of ever being alone, because we always have that connection to our ancestors. And the Milky Way is such a strong symbol in the sky, especially in Australia, to the Indigenous and to the non-Indigenous people. The next two paintings that I'll show you are a series that belong to both the men and women alike. But this story here is all about, it's all about the waterhole, the sacred waterhole, the Wudja Wollongale, which in our language means the water that washes our body. And this story here is about the women's part. And this is about where the women go. This part here is a part that only the women can go to. And when they wash off, it's only for the women. And this place here is like a beautiful sacred waterhole. And all of our artwork generally is as if you're looking down upon it. So you have here, you have the waterhole, the big large pool, and then the different streams, the little rivers that run off it. And then the colors are just symbolic of the beautiful blue, rich water that we have up there in the rainforest. And the next one is where it just continues on, and it joins, and it becomes, in the two pictures, becomes the male and female waterfall, where the men and women come together then to cleanse after ceremony. And then they are, you know, everything, their body is clean and their body is pure. And after they get out of the water, then we use smoke from the eucalyptus leaves to cleanse our body, because our people believe that the cleanest your skin can ever be is when you have the smoke of the eucalyptus blow all over you.
Right, so it's beautiful. I just have a kind of curiosity about how the dots are created. Do you use a paintbrush, or is there a certain
Each individual
object?
dot is all done by hand.
It's all done by hand?
And I use a stick, which is quite similar to like a chopstick, you know, the same sort of, you know, width. And I just would sit there and individually, you know, dot in the paint and then just push down very lightly just to create the dots. And then it just allows the painting to weave itself.
So tell me about your painting career. How far have you gone?
Again, you know, I'm always, you know, seeking the next level in my artwork. In 2005, I was given the opportunity to have my first ever solo art exhibition, and I had 32 paintings on exhibition in Sydney and Darling Harbour, and on the first night, all 32 paintings sold out.
Wow.
At that art gallery that was at, it was the first time that they'd ever had an artist exhibit and sell out on the first day. It was a deeply humbling experience for me. I was having a hard time with the idea that people just came and bought all of my paintings, because for so long I'd given them away to friends and to family, or I'd never painted as maybe a means of being able to support myself or support my family. And one of the greatest pieces of news that I've been fortunate enough to receive is in my invitation to come to Hanoi to share this exchange for the celebration for the Happy Birthday Hanoi gift from Australian Embassy, is that I was contacted by the lady who's been in charge of creating the mosaic, the large 6-kilometre wall.
Right.
And in her seeing my art, she has taken some of my artwork and is going to create a mosaic of my artwork that will live in Hanoi forever.
Wow.
So there's a little bit of Jeremy that's going to live in Hanoi for the rest of my life, which for me, that, you know, is one of my greatest, you know, artistic achievements.
Great. So also as part of his cultural exchange in Hanoi this time, Jeremy taught a group of children how to dot paint. So let's have a look at that.
Con đang vẽ một cái cây, bông hoa và một đám mây ạ. Thích kiểu vẽ này ạ. Nó trong một sáng tạo là mình tự vẽ tay vẽ một cái số cái bức tranh trên thân mình con kangaroo này. Màu sắc khá là đẹp và những màu sắc khác nhau là nó chan hòa vào nhau thành một cái bức tranh khá là phong phú, và những cái vết những cái chấm này của chúng rất là tròn, rất là khá tròn, tạo thành một cái hình rất là đẹp.
These days, when we're painting, we use acrylic paint, but traditionally we use this ochre, which is the clay, and in the clay it has a natural oxide, which is why it stayed on the rock walls for so long. Like where my family are from, we have rock paintings that are 40,000 years old that have not disappeared because the clay lasts forever in there.
Football. Last question.
Is dot painting quite known in Australia, or is it just starting also?
Well, Aboriginal art, the dot painting, is probably the most successful trade that's ever come out of the Aboriginal culture. And, you know, there are Aboriginal artists that are no longer with us, that have passed away, that their artwork is selling in New York for, you know, 1.2 million US dollars. $2 million US dollars for a Rover Thomas painting. I mean, it's quite incredible the amount of money that some of the Aboriginal artwork's fetching. The sad part is the Indigenous people were not paid that much money when they were bought. You know, they might have been paid a couple of $100 and now it's just gone up in collection price. And so it's only now that people are starting to appreciate the price of this artwork and actually appreciate paying the indigenous people the right price for the painting as well.
You also offer traditional healing sessions to the public. Can you tell us a little bit about this?
What happens is using language, using our spoken language, using our sweat, using the ochre, the clay, on someone's body, and then using the vibration of the didgeridoo on the body is a very powerful healing tool, because the didgeridoo, our bodies are 90% water, so sound travels through water 8 times faster than it does through air. So making it, if our cells are made from water, when this sound goes into the body, they vibrate, causing them to expand. So if we have cellular memory, or if we have cellular damage, then it forces this to expand, where the memory can be brought up, or if we have illness that's attached to those cells, it can force them to, to release. And so, while I never prophesize to heal the world, that I don't believe that I can heal anything, but I believe that I can give you a tool that then you can heal yourself with.
How have the people that you've healed responded to you?
The people that I've worked with, some of them I have come back, every week when I'm at home in Australia. I've had, and again, like, I don't profess to heal anyone, that I had a beautiful family from Los Angeles in America contact me, and they flew me out to Los Angeles to work with their husband, their father, who was suffering quite badly from cancer. And so I went and visited him in the hospital and played didgeridoo on his body. And I certainly had no ability to heal him, but what I had the ability was to tell him that it's okay, that it's okay to go now. And like 2 hours after I visited him and said to his family that you need to say goodbye, you need to let this man go because it's his time now. 2 hours after that session, he departed, and made that transition. So, I mean, it's a pretty special position to be put in when people are putting their faith into you to give them comfort.
Through your website, I know you've spent a lot of time with adolescents, and you encourage the youth to follow in your footsteps. We have a lot of students sitting right here in our studio now, and also a lot of young viewers watching. Do you have any advice for them?
Yeah, well, I say to people, follow my footsteps, but I don't mean walk in my footprints.
No.
I mean, create your own footprints in this life. That we were given feet to leave a footprint. And so I would always say to the young people that the old people, our grandparents, our great-grandparents, if they're still there, they are the ones that have the stories of the old ways. So listen to them, spend time to listen to them, because they are our living history. And, just even since my time here in Vietnam, I've taken a couple of photos of some beautiful old people that I've seen on the street, because in every wrinkle that they have, there has been happiness and there is pain, that those people have lived through times that we as young people, we will never understand how hard that was, but they still have the happiness. And so, never shy away from your history, because your history is history, but you're here to create future.
Talking about your kids, do you want them to kind of follow you and become an artist as well, in terms of doing dot painting and playing the didgeridoo? You think you'll teach them?
I definitely, if they want to learn, I will share it with them. I mean, certainly they already express, interest. When Dad's sitting up painting, they want to paint as well. But it's their life. I'm not there to to live their life, for them. I'm there to live it with them. I'm certainly not expecting them to. I definitely don't want them to follow in my footsteps, because some of my footsteps were definitely the wrong ones. But definitely, if I can lead the way to just giving them an opportunity to have, an amazing life, then that's what I strive to do for my kids. If it's sport, if it's art, if it's dance, if it's music, if it's fashion, I don't mind. As long as they're doing something that they love. I don't want them to do something that they're just doing for the sake of doing. I want them to find what truly makes their heart happy, and then do that.
Well, thank you very much, Jeremy, for this wonderful talk. But before you go, do you mind giving us another demo?
No problem.
All right.
Thì
since arriving in Hanoi on Tuesday, I've been very fortunate enough to be able to make exchanges with students from various universities here in Hanoi. Some of the students are here with me today from the National University of Arts Education. I was working with them in teaching them one of the traditional dances from my community in far northern Queensland, from the Gokwa Yaranji people. This story, this dance here, is a fun dance. It's a play dance, but it has a serious side because it is about our life out on the land when we go hunting for kangaroos. So in this story, there are 2 hunters and 4 kangaroos, and unfortunately, only 3 will be going home. So my boys from the National University, and this song here is called Ogadanji. Sa'ai, sa'ai, sa'ai. Ogadanje majaba, ogadanje majaba, ogadanje majaba, nayangle, nayangle, ogadanje majaba, ogadanje majaba, ogadanje majaba, nayangle, nayangle, ogadanje majaba, ogadanje majaba, ogadanje majaba, nayangle. Nayangre, Ogarande, Madaba, Ogarande, Madaba, Ogarande, Madaba, Nayangle, Nayangre, Andra Boganayo pro capore, ay, go, ay, go.
Thank you very much, Jeremy, and you guys for being such wonderful kangaroos and hunters. And thank you, Jeremy, for being on the show. We wish you all the best of luck in your endeavors.
Thank you so much for having me.
And that is it for this edition of Talk Vietnam. We'll talk again next time. See ya.